We're following some new disappointing numbers on the U.S. economy as the country struggles to overcome pandemic challenges. The U.S. only added 194,000 jobs in September. That's less than half of what some economists anticipated. However, the unemployment rate did drop down to 4.8%. For more on the current state of the economy, David Peters joins us now. He's an economist and a financial advisor. David, thanks for joining us. So are these numbers what you expected, or were you in line with the rest of the street, which sort of indicated that the numbers should be higher? And what do these numbers tell you about the state of the economy?
Well, so first, was it what I was expecting? I don't know that I was as optimistic as a lot of other folks were, but certainly, I mean, we were all hoping for a big number. I mean, we wanted to see improvement. We wanted to see a lot more new jobs, and that's not what we got. So for the second month in a row, we saw a disappointing number of new jobs. And, so what does this mean? Well, I think what it means is that at least as of the middle of September, when these results were tabulated, that employers just weren't really feeling optimistic about the state of the economy. So if I'm an employer and I am thinking about hiring more people, I want to make sure that the revenue is in place, that the economic outlook is good so that I can support that decision. And so I think you're seeing some apprehension.
There was this feeling that, with schools reopening, two things would happen. All of these teachers and custodial staff and support staff, they would all be, back on the job, and that would move the numbers a little bit. And that parents would feel a little more comfortable heading back to work themselves because, they felt like their kids were going to be okay and they weren't going to have to deal with remote learning. Did that just not pan out, or is it just too soon to see the impact of schools reopening?
Well, I would again point to when exactly the data was collected. In the middle of September, we were still very much worried about the Delta variant and the spiking number of cases, and I just think that in the last few weeks we've started to see a bit of a drop, and so that really hasn't had a chance to really be reflected in the numbers yet. The other thing is that, again, I would point to employers' sort of willingness to kind of put themselves out there. I mean, people costs tend to be the biggest line item on most companies' income statements. That's the biggest expense item. It's, wages, payroll taxes, benefits, training costs, things like that. And so, so you think twice about kind of extending offers out if you don't think that the revenue is going to be there to back it up. And, again, middle of September, we were very worried, if we were kind of going, maybe a next round of lockdowns. I mean, we were concerned, and I think that apprehension really shows.
So as the U.S. works to get a handle of COVID-19, there are companies across the country that are now enforcing these COVID vaccine mandates, and some people are either quitting or they're being fired from their jobs over the requirement. What's the likelihood of individuals being able to collect unemployment for not abiding by company policy?
Well, I think that, those policies are still being something that, that states are figuring out, and I'm not sure how they're going to react. I mean, there is a segment of the population that has chosen not to get vaccinated, and now employers are kind of taking a stand and saying, we don't, that this is something that we look at as being a safety issue and also a productivity issue too. I mean, if you're an employer and you think that there's a chance that, that an employee could get sick and not be able to be productive, you're probably going to think twice about hiring that person. And so, so they may be able to collect benefits. That's possible, but I think, employers, I think, are kind of, sending a message that at least from a business perspective, that they're concerned that about the productivity of hiring unvaccinated workers. They're worried that they're going to get sick and may not be able to be at work.
You mentioned that employers may be hesitant to put out the cash that's required to take on more employees. I wonder if part of that is also all these supply chain hiccups that we've seen, that that companies may be concerned that they're just not going to get the product in so they can sell it to anyone, or maybe that the consumers may change their demand now. They're not expecting certain things anymore, so the desire isn't there. We see all these ships off the coast of California that are sitting there filled with cargo that they cannot unload. The price of cargo containers has gone through the roof, so that's an expense that companies didn't have before. I wonder if that's part of it too.
I think it absolutely is a part of it. It's a bit of a, as the old expression goes, it's a bit of a chicken and the egg type of situation. Employers really don't want to maybe extend job offers and really extend job openings until they're sure that the revenue's there. And they wonder about the revenue being there because of supply chain shortages, microchip shortages, and those types of things. And so it's hard. I mean, I think if you're the employer, you really are hesitant to put yourself out there. I mean, until you know that some of the things, especially if you're dependent on a certain aspect of the supply chain. You want to make sure that you're going to have the work there, and that your decision is not going to be putting the company in a worse spot. If the economic outlook is not good, revenues don't pan out, you don't want to hire somebody on, train them, and then have to let them go right away. That's the worst case scenario there.
So I know that all the predictions were off significantly, but I'm going to ask you, do you predict an improvement that perhaps, what we are seeing now, like you said, are numbers that are reflective of an earlier time, a time where we weren't sure what the Delta variant was going to do to our economy, and sort of the next jobs numbers will look much healthier?
I think that you are going to see more healthier job numbers the next time around. And the reason being is because I think it's important to remember when the data is collected and remember what we were thinking. I mean, this doesn't reflect our opinions, just kind of the employers' opinions on the economy as a whole as of October 8th. It's their opinions as of the middle of September. And I think we were in a very different spot. If the trends continue into the middle of October, which it looks like that could happen, then I think you're going to see healthier numbers next time. It's just we haven't had a chance to to sort of see that reflected in the data yet. So I think that unfortunately, I think the sort of the message is that we just have to wait. We got to let this work itself out.
All right, be patient. David Peters, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.